evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce our board in case you don't know them. On the left, we have Victor Don Gotcher. We got Rose Sowers. We got Sarah Heisler. And we got Dan Wolf. Okay. And just a little reminder, if everybody could please sign in, it'd be appreciated. And then I'm going to have the ATV, UTV club highlight some of the general items on what they want to do here. So, one of you guys want to come up?
Sorry, you've all heard this before, so I'm mostly talking to the crowd who may or may not know some of the rules and requirements here. So, as you know, the Wisconsin DOT and the DNR have quite a list of regulations that ATVs and UTVs and other recreational vehicles have to follow, boats and jet skis and things like that. I just want to go over a couple of the ATV, UTV laws so that we're all on the same page. Whether or not you have a driver's license, you still need to have and pass the Wisconsin DNR ATV safety course. Anyone born after January 1st of 1988, regardless of the driver's license, just so everybody's aware. To legally operate on a public trail, you must be at least 16 years old to have the Wisconsin ATV safety certificate to operate an ATV or UTV by yourself on any road route. 12 to 15-year-olds are allowed by the state DNR to ride with their parents within visual and hearing. So parents or the parents' approved person have to ride with them. They cannot ride them by themselves. Any person or operator under the age of 18 has to wear a helmet that is approved by the DOT. It's not a bicycle helmet, it's not any other kind of helmet. It has to be an approved DOT helmet, like a motorcycle helmet, snowmobile helmet, those kinds of things. Every occupant riding in a UTV, which is the side-by-side, they must have their safety harness on, which is their seatbelt. And nobody can ride on any part of the UTV or ATV that's not designated to be used as a seat, as a passenger. All ATVs and UTVs must display a current registration and have a license plate. They must have their headlights on and taillight on at all times. They must have their registration sticker, as I mentioned. And no exhaust can be louder, or no exhaust sound can be louder than 96 decibels. All ATVs around the state have to follow the observed signage, speed limits, stop signs, caution signs, railroad signs, everything. It's really no different than any other recreational vehicle. And the way we look at it is if mopeds and other smaller vehicles are allowed, and I don't think ATVs and UTVs should be any different. They're going to follow all the rules and regulations that the state has. So, and just, I also should just recognize we have Randy Harden here. He's the president of the Wisconsin ATV Association, and our club president, Tom Birnbaum, is here as well. If you have more questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Randy has indicated that we have 42,000 miles of road routes already approved in Wisconsin. So there are quite a few municipalities out there that already have this. And just to put it in perspective, there's 2,500 summer trails and 4,000 miles of, 2,500 miles of summer trails and 4,000 winter trails. And that means basically off-road. So 41,000 miles of road routes is huge. It's happening all around the state. So, okay, that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know.
Actually, I do have one question. I was going to ask about headlights and taillights, and you already answered that, but what about turn indicators? Are the vehicles equipped with those, or is it going to be relying on hand signals?
So as of right now, it's not a requirement to my understanding, but a lot of ATVs and UTVs can voluntarily put them on, and if not, they have to use hand signals. Yep. I mean, we can answer questions throughout, so.
Randy, would you like to say a few words? I was entering and signing in. Thank you for having this forum tonight. Appreciate it. As mentioned, Randy Harden, president of the statewide ATV, UTV organization, actually headquartered in Sheboygan. But I just go there to sleep and pay my taxes, usually driving all over. We have, to give you a little overview, I hopefully comfort, we have over 118 clubs, not unlike the Lakeshore ATV Club around Wisconsin, virtually in every county, multiple ones in many of the counties that have trails and routes. The route expansion has been relatively new in that when our organization worked with lawmakers to put the UTV or the side-by-side registration program into place, as an organization, we wrestled with the UTV for a number of years preceding that, 5 or 6 years before, not knowing if the side-by-side was a trend or if it was going away or how it would fit in with the rest of the ATVs. And of course, now it's one of the most popular machines. That when the side-by-side became registered into the program in 2012, the demographics changed. There's a lot of people with hair the color of mine now, or lack of hair, seems to be the trend that has happened. As Brenda mentioned, the road routes, because of the cost and accessibility and the further stability of the side-by-side vehicle, is just virtually taken on a life of its own, so to speak, with how many routes are around the state. And actually, it's around the country. It's not just Wisconsin doing this. But I'm here to support, answer questions where I can. As Brenda mentioned, we work a lot with state lawmakers. We work with the Department of Natural Resources, with the DOT, with the Office of Tourism. I sit on a couple of boards with tourism and our State Trails Council, where we're intermixing a lot with other kind of recreational use. To us and our organization and clubs like the Lakeshore Club, we always stress to do things the right way, to manage whatever activity is, to be able to control what's going on, and to do things in a responsible and ethical manner. And I'm really proud of this club. They've taken the hold of that and chose to do that. So with that, like I said, I'm here to answer questions if I can, or support for the club. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Okay, now we can open it up for questions. Anyone have a question, please come to the mic or use the mic so we all can hear.
Peter, are you opening up just for questions, or can people make statements as well?
Whatever. We're here to listen. So, anyone have any questions, comments? Could you please come over here and you?
Well, I don't really, I can talk from right from here. I don't like the idea of 12-year-olds driving these things around the village. And they have the capability to do that, even though an adult would you let a 12-year-old drive a car? Would you let a 12-year-old drive a motorcycle? Come on. It's ridiculous.
Well, they have to go through a safety course first.
I don't care. They're still 12 years old.
So, but
You're going to take the liability for a 12-year-old?
it's
What
like,
insurance company is going to insure a 12-year-old?
yeah, I don't know.
Maybe answer that.
Please.
There is no liability to the village.
How's that?
Just because they pass an ordinance does not mean they have liability for people's actions. It's just like a snowmobile trail. A snowmobile that can be 12 years old and drive from here to Fond du Lac, and he could do the same thing. He crosses.
They're not driving on the city street.
57. And we're not inventing the wheel here. This is all over the state. In 40,000 miles in the state, a 12-year-old can drive with the proper safety equipment and their parents or a guardian right next to them.
I'm not talking about safety equipment, I'm talking about experience in driving at 12 years old.
I get it, and that's why they make them go through that DNR safety training, so they give them that experience to understand what they do when they come in cross streets, how they use their hand signals, how they turn.
All it takes is one mistake, that's all it takes.
I have young children too. When my sons were 12 years old, there's no way I would let them hop on a four-wheeler and drive down a road or a route without me right next to them. And that's up to the parents. But the law says if a 12-year-old gets on that machine, just like today, if a 12-year-old hops on a moped and runs through town, that's not a good thing going on. But what they're gonna do is have the warden or the sheriff pull them over and take care of that problem. It's an enforcement problem at that point.
Who's the warden?
Tony Young is the warden in our area here. His office is right down in Harrington State Park.
Whoa, Harrington State Park. So he's not a police officer, he's a DNR person?
Game warden is a DNR. Yeah, game wardens
But
are
does
the people.
DNR people have jurisdiction over public roads in the village?
Yes, actually, a DNR warden has more authority than a sheriff does. And
What?
my son is the sheriff's officer, so I know that for a fact.
Well, I don't never seen a DNR warden riding anywhere around here. And then any kind of a marked car or anything else for that matter.
Well, they don't come in marked cars.
I would know.
Unfortunately, they're in a black pickup, but you never know.
Do something wrong, they'll find you. They'll find you. Don't worry, I'm gonna stop by one.
Does he have arrest authority or does he have ordinance?
Yes, he can issue fines, and we highly recommend it as a club. We put his name and phone number in our website, because, listen, we're putting a lot of effort into this program. And we went through a long time to get the town of Belgium signed up and the town of Fredonia, and we plan on continuing. And we want this program to work safely. And I have my two boys here too, and I do not want anybody in my family injured, or anybody in our club injured, or anybody in the village of Belgium injured. I mean, that is important to us too, believe it or not. And some people feel differently about the age, but that's left up to the Wisconsin DNR and state statutes. We don't design what age a person can get on that unit and drive it.
And all the recreational activities, hunting, boating, all of that is 12 years old. Hunting with the
Yeah, but
dog.
they don't drive a vehicle on the street.
They can shoot a gun. They can
You
shoot
know,
a
but
gun.
they-
They can shoot a gun.
That's scary enough right there. Top of combine.
Jerry, is it true what they're saying, that the village is not exposed to any liability, or do you see any situations under which liability for the village could be incurred?
Anybody can sue anybody for anything, and probably find a lawyer to do it. But we do have protections. We have general governmental immunity, and there's also recreational immunity statute, which would certainly be asserted by our insurance company and defendants. So again, there's numerous municipalities that have adopted these ordinances. I'm not endorsing it one way or another, but liability would be a great concern.
Don't have to have liability insurance, do they?
Yes.
They're required. Even a 12-year-old driver.
Well, their family, their parents.
Yeah.
And the parents?
No different than a 16-year-old. They don't carry their own insurance policy either.
That would be hugely expensive on a 12-year-old for them to carry.
That's-
Hey, it's expensive on a 16-year-old kid too.
All right, even more.
Is it okay if I do it? Oh, okay, I just have a short, you guys heard me at the last meeting, and bag of wind, I know I keep talking, but I'm here wearing a different hat tonight. I gotta get rid of this thing. I'm here as a business owner in the village of Belgium tonight, so that's why I'm here asking for you to pass this. So I'm just going to try to read a lot of this right off because I don't want to miss anything. But thank you for this opportunity to express our thoughts for the ATVs and UTV ordinance. I come to you as a business owner. I am the owner and manager of Belgium Storage, just down right across the road. And our phone number is on the sign if you want to talk to me about storage. I'm always around. So, but I'm here to ask you for your support based on my business. I feel that this can give a great boost to almost any of the businesses within the village. By adopting this ordinance, it can bring an entirely new group of patrons up to the restaurant industry. Excuse me, like the Luxembourg Cafe, Coyotes, Big Ed's, Tracksides, McDonald's, and Subway, and so on. This would be an increased access for businesses like Retro Speed on the other end of town because it's easier access right to their place. You don't have to trailer it. Businesses like the BP station at the Belgium Plaza would see an obvious increase in customers by simply allowing this this ordinance to pass, just for the fact that they can come and fill up at the gas pumps. And you have to fill them up, so you have
to go to the only gas station in town. So that would be a great place to go and use the convenience store. Freddie has joined our club because he understands the importance of it. I'm not sure if he's here tonight. He was going to try to make it. If not, he's going to try to send an email in, but he's very much in favor of it. We've also have people like the Beekler Farms and Lunzer's Garage that are excited about this new ordinance. I think Lunzer's sent an email into the village asking for your support. Beeklers are also, they joined because they want to help get this passed because they see this as another boost to their business. You know, they can have things, events going on that ATV and UTV riders could come and utilize. Now I'm going to get a little selfish, but access to all three, unfortunately, three storage businesses in Belgium is huge. It really is huge in my case because it's very attractive to customers to be able to just rent a shed for their toys like snowmobiles and UTVs, put them in the unit, and then at any time they can come, hop in it, and drive to their destination. Literally, you could park in unit 1 and drive all the way to Fond du Lac if you wanted to, or beyond. The routes and the trails all the way up to that area will be wide open. So opening it in Belgium is just another piece of that puzzle to help this go through. Sometimes these smaller businesses just need a little bit of extra effort, I guess. Now, I'm not saying by passing this ordinance, you're going to save all the businesses in Belgium. That's not the case. But you know what? If I have that as a selling tool for my business, it's a plus. People like to hear that. I have probably 12 different units with recreational vehicles in it now. Every one of them are on trailers because they just pick them up and drive to the next town where they can unload them and go. Why not get on your four-wheeler and drive over to the Litzenberg Cafe and grab a sandwich or a breakfast before you take off and go down to your destination? Sometimes it's, well, I won't beat that down, but it could be as simple as a yes vote to give this ordinance a chance. Just give it a chance. Like I said in the original meeting, if things are a problem or if things aren't working out or you have a couple issues, what we'd like you to do is contact our club. We'll sit down with you. We come and try to solve the problem if there is something that can be solved. But if not, like Jerry had mentioned, if it's just not working out in the village of Belgium, next month, next year, you guys can completely change it or get rid of it. But we're asking you to take a chance and just try this and see how it goes. Mark Beekler. Mark Beekler is a native, born and raised in Belgium. He now lives over in the Random Lake area as a teacher. He's also on the Village of Random Lakes board. I think he sent a letter in, so hopefully you guys also saw that comment, but I could see it was a short letter because when he had contacted me, he had a lot to say, and they were so happy that they moved forward with that Random Lake. And he said to this day, they have not had one call or one issue of problems. So that's a good testimonial because I always ask townships and municipalities, check with your neighbors and see how it's going. And we found that in the town of Fredonia too. They wondered if it was really open because they haven't hardly seen any. You know, it takes a little time to get going. So I guess I want to leave you with, make no mistake, local businesses are very interested on how you guys vote on this. We've stopped and talked to, well, pretty much all the businesses that I mentioned, and let's see, Retro Speed, Lunzers, the whole gamut of them through town here. Yep, Litzenberg Cafe, and I could reread them, but it's pretty much every business. It's not the ones down in the industrial park. We didn't knock on their doors yet, but every one of them is strongly in favor of it. And you'll kind of see. Juan is here from Luna's, and Litzenberg Cafe is represented. These people are here looking for your support too. So a vote in favor of this ordinance would clearly show your support and your efforts to help provide growth and additional opportunities for these local businesses. I truly believe that. So as a business owner in the village of Belgium Storage, I'm asking you to please approve this proposed ordinance. So.
Okay, well, as usual, I'm gonna pipe up. You know, it's attractive to have the increased traffic to the businesses, but for those of us with reservations, the increased traffic is the very issue. So how much of, how often are they going to be frequenting our streets where our children play? And in other words, all of these, this cavalcade of UTVs that are going to be frequenting our businesses, are they going to be frequenting our back streets as well?
It's gonna be very difficult to answer that, but what this ordinance really does is allow people who live on the back subdivisions to drive out and drive to their destination. I don't think it's gonna be a destination. We don't foresee the Chicago group coming up and
So it's
spending
not
a
going
whole
to be the
weekend on Main
Elkhart
Street.
Lake of ATVs.
No, no, this is really, and this is exactly what we told the town of Belgium too, and it's kind of coming out that way. It's for the townspeople. It's, in this case, it's for the people who live in the village. This is to give them an opportunity to use their recreational vehicles and get out of town, or, just drive to the other end of town and get Brady to take a look at his clutch or something like that. It really is just another source or another mode of transportation.
So I got a question to you.
Sure.
You're answering questions. Car versus an ATV, who's gonna win?
I'd rather be in the car.
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah,
different.
Aren't you,
you know what?
aren't you opening yourselves up to all?
No,
Excuse me,
Car
Steve.
versus a scooter, who's gonna win?
no,
Yeah.
you gotta understand the liability, and maybe, I know it, but Randy, you're an expert on this. I think I'd maybe like to defer to you if you don't mind as far as the liability goes. Liability does not fall on the village, does not fall on the town. It falls on the person that ran the stop sign, whether it be the guy in the car or the guy in the four-wheeler. That is where the liability starts. And Jerry, jump in if I'm off base here, and then it goes to their insurance. And that's how this is all taken care of. If there is an accident, it's no different than the person that had a bicycle accident down on Sauk Trail. Who was liable? You can't run a stop sign with a bicycle. I'm telling you, that's illegal, and he was liable. And he paid a dear price for it.
The other thing I want to mention is when you're on a motorcycle, for example, your legs are exposed. When you're on an ATV, the tires are out past your legs. So if a car hit a motorcycle, it'd be worse than hitting an ATV.
I have a motorcycle and I have a UTV, and as I get older, I'd rather be in my UTV. I really do.
Well, they're harder to handle than cars, that's for sure, on pavement.
I
And you know
disagree
that.
with that. They
The
have
new
power
tires.
steering, I have radial tires on mine. I would have to politely disagree with you on that, so.
My only concern is, like I say, not liability, it's human life,
Hey,
Come on.
we're the first ones, our club, it's gonna fail. If we have somebody get injured in our club, it's gonna be a failure.
Be lucky
We
if
don't,
they're injured.
but you know what? We are here to make it safe. That's the reason we're doing this by the letter of the law, and we're asking you to pass this ordinance the safe and right way.
Well, if that's the case, then why isn't Wisconsin okay the whole state for ATVs?
They're talking about it.
Oh, they're talking.
They
I don't
are.
think so.
But I'll tell you,
The governor.
42,000 miles on road should tell you something about the
What
state of
road?
Wisconsin.
We do a lot of riding up north in Rhinelander. The entire city is
I know
open,
Rhinelander, I've been there.
except for the two main roads. It's much bigger than Belgium,
Yeah.
much bigger.
And
And they're completely open except for the
Mhm.
two main roads. And when we do ride, there's not massive groups of people. It's hit and miss, just like any other, unless you have a club ride where everybody gets together. Otherwise, you don't have massive machines
I've
out.
been up north and I've seen what the bid is with the snowmobiles and the bars at night. Come on, you're telling me the ATV people aren't gonna drink?
In a
Is that
car,
what you're
you
saying?
could
They're not gonna be in the bars? Why
You
is
could
the
drink
bars
in a
not
car.
being-
People drive cars that drink,
Yeah,
motorcycles.
Motorcycles?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I can point out anything and everything.
Yeah.
You know, you can't guarantee.
Actually, I have
I
a
would like
question
to
for,
ask a question.
Don, can I just ask one
Certainly,
quick
go
one?
ahead.
Of the fellow who represents the state clubs, what municipality has had the longest history with allowing these vehicles on their highways. And please be honest, what is the track record in terms of accidents, any other issues?
I can't answer that which one, but obviously where we started up north with trails and to get into the services is where it started the trend. Park Falls, Price County, Iron County, those predominant trail systems. But then as the 20, 30, and $1,000 machines got bigger and more expensive and more, in today's terms, luxurious, I guess you would say in that term, people wanted to be able to access them more than just going to 5 hours north. And I'll also share with you kind of what Kevin said. The machines on the traffic are displaced. What you're doing is, in a lot of cases, taking the car off the road and you're replacing it with this. So you actually free up some of the area there. I was just in the village of Sharon last week in Walworth County, where the town of Walworth is wanting to hook up to the businesses in the village of Sharon, and they're doing it all over the state, similar to that. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Wisconsin Dells opened all the roads in Wisconsin Dells, didn't have any issue at all. I'm actually
When did
afraid
that
to drive
happen?
my car.
I'm just curious, when did that happen?
2 years ago?
This summer was
Okay.
up and going at full steam, so, it just proves that, again, it's nice that folks worry about individuals, but individuals got to decide, and their parents, what they're going to risk they're gonna take, and it is on them. I'm in the insurance industry, and we just don't see the issues. To be honest, theft is more of an issue than anything else. But that's not to say there aren't accidents, but there's a lot of accidents in cars, motorcycles, bicycles, Amish buggies. It's just part of traffic. But anyway, that's hopefully that answers.
Yes, thank you. And Don, thanks for.
Not a problem. I just have a question. I'm assuming that almost everybody over here is, I want to know how many people live in the village of Belgium.
Own a business or live
Live in the village that want to see this passed.
I've lived here probably before you were born.
That's fine. I'm just asking a question. I just want to know the number of people that.
And I think the word is support. That's the big thing for our people that started the new restaurant, for Coyotes, for all the little business places. We've done it and done it bad. I mean, I've had my business. By the way, I'm owner of Belgium Storage also. So there were a lot of things that were done good in the village over my years. And there were a lot of things or a few things that were done bad. And it all ended up with support. We lost the grocery store that lasted 6 months because the people didn't support it. We're losing a hardware store now because it was too small and we didn't support it.
This was a beautiful restaurant.
Pardon?
This was a beautiful
That's
restaurant.
right. This
Yeah.
was a state
I spent
place,
every
yeah.
That's
Saturday
what
night
I'm getting
here
at.
for 5 years.
Yes, you're right.
Sorry, Pastor Steve. But yeah,
So support.
And the support is not gonna happen overnight. I mean, these machines are like, our director said, are very expensive. They're from $15,000 to $20,000.
More.
And more, depending on what you wanna do with
There's
it.
plenty of wives here. Don't do it that way.
Just 3 weeks ago, we spent 7 months of the year up in northern Wisconsin. And we can go from our house to the west, to Rhinelander, we go to the east, to Crandon, and all the streets are open, except the state highways like Highway 8, 45. But, you know, we can go to places. I just had a couple from Port Washington, a couple machines came up and talking about expense, you know. he had one where he had air conditioning, a heater, power windows, you know, so that could be in the $30,000. But that's why it's not gonna happen overnight, you know, I'm sure
And they're not
Terry
rentals.
and Dee would like to see 10, 15 machines out in their parking lot, but that doesn't happen. First of all, we gotta get some routes and some trails that go on through the ordinance, and then, and then it will slowly happen. Rome wasn't built in a day, so let's give it some time and some, the big thing is support. It'll support all the little businesses that we have left. So, that's all I have to say.
Very good, Jack. Never knew you could talk.
Okay,
Quick
so anybody
question
else have
to
any
the
other
ATV.
questions?
Quick question to the ATV experts. What's the difference between an ATV and a smart car? Weight-wise, safety-wise? Not much.
My ATV is 8 inches bigger than a smart car.
I think people hear
Not
ATV, UTV, and it's got a stigma already. They think it's just a utility vehicle that you use off-road and they get scared. You see motorcycles, scooters, smart cars, everything that's lighter, smaller, flimsier. I think if we don't give it a chance, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, are you letting the people, you want the people that drive at night, are they gonna use light bars on the top of the ATVs?
Headlights, they have headlights, just like a
Just
car.
headlights, not any light bars.
You
none
have
of that
this
stuff.
packet, sir.
I can blind you at night.
If you look at this page.
I see all that, but that's not what I see on the road.
That's up to them
Well,
individually.
yeah,
We
that
have
That should be
light bars,
illegal,
but
for
that's up
Christ's
to
sake. You're
them.
driving on the village street with a aircraft light?
We have light bars, but that's up to the individual.
It is illegal to drive with the light bars on, just like a car, you have to dim them, that's in statute now. On the trails and the road.
I have light bar on my vehicles and they're hooked up to the high beams. So my high beams are on, just like a vehicle, my light bar's on, and if a car or another ATV's coming at me, I hit the switch to low beams and it shuts them off.
So you blind them?
No,
No, I
just said
They blind you. Well, and secondly, what does it cost to register an ATV?
$30 every 2 years.
Why do I have to pay 85 every year?
You should sell
For
your
a car.
car and get an ATV then. Well, I mean, I don't know why, one is through the DOT and one's through the DNR.
We don't have a governor here.
Ask the governor.
Okay, let's keep this down, please. I'm sorry.
Are you gonna take the ATV to Milwaukee or any other?
You gotta stay on point. We're here for the village.
You're trying to support local businesses, so you're trying to keep those people here. If they get rid of their car, they're gonna support their Belgian business, is what the club is trying to tell you.
Oh, that's a long shot.
We lost there's a guy sitting right next to me that lost a hardware store because someone jumps in their car and drives to Grafton to buy something for $1 cheaper than running right down the road because they can't get on their ATV to get into town.
Isn't that competition though?
That's just what I said.
It's competition.
It is competition. yeah.
Well, is there any business owners here that feel that this is a good idea for them, that they think they can benefit?
Competition, I'd rather eat a burger at his restaurant than McDonald's in Grafton.
You got that right.
Yep, yes.
So that's competition. You can eat whatever you want. You can have an argument for anything you want.
So I gotta pay $85 a year. All the safety equipment, are you emission inspected?
I can buy a $12 cheeseburger, or I can go to McDonald's and buy one for $1.
Whatever.
You can do whatever you like. Whatever you justify to yourself is what you can do.
Actually, I would like to follow up on something maybe you didn't hear that he asked is, do you have to have the admissions checked periodically as cars do? So.
I don't
just
have my
curious.
It's a
No,
recreation.
I'm just curious.
That's a good question. That's a recreational vehicle versus,
It's not,
so same with boats, you don't have those.
This isn't a loaded question, this
No,
is just
no,
one.
I'm saying recreational versus the transportation
Right.
mode, and that's.
You get north of here, and you don't have to have your car emission tested either.
No.
Good point.
well, we're not here, we're here. Not
I have
there.
a question on the registration of the ATVs. I brought this up last time.
Sure.
Can you clarify, they have to, it's a sticker or like a plate that goes on the back of the car? Okay, can you explain that some more to me, please?
Randy, would you like to?
Yeah, there are 2 stickers on the side, and then the same number is a plate that you So there's 3 views, both sides and the back for identification.
So any violations, that plate's no different than a plate.
Right, it matches
It has to be on the ATV if it's on the road.
Even the trails.
Even the trail.
Even trails, that number has to be visible from the rear, and then the 2 sticker numbers on the sides. So,
The
being
regulation,
in law enforcement, if you pull up behind
That's
it,
my question now.
you would see a license plate just like you do on a car.
the regulations specify the size, it has to be white, it has to be black numbers. I
2
mean,
inches.
it's specific, and all the operators are aware and have to be responsible for their own vehicles.
The size of that plate, isn't that like a 5x9 or something?
It's like this, yeah.
And that's on every one of them, so if your 12-year-old son, as you're talking earlier, is with you, they're also had that plate particular to that UTV.
Everyone has to have that.
Yeah, and
Every machine, it goes by the machine.
It's just like a car,
Okay.
you know, it's like a license plate, so they can run and find out whose it is and get your address and everything, so.
I know how that works with the vehicles, but with the ATVs, I don't have one, I don't know much about them, so I appreciate the clarification. Sure.
And I will say the game warden is in our area quite often. He, like my dad mentioned, he has pulled him over. Even though my dad has an agricultural sticker and was doing agricultural work, that's legal and a separate sticker. So I just want to address that. That's a different entity. But for regular riding, following the speed limits in the village, in the town, if I want to ride by his house or their house, I would have to follow the speed limits, have the appropriate sticker. It's separate. But the DNR warden does come and check stickers and stuff and registration, so he's in the area.
So you got one guy for all of the village
There's
adults?
another entity called the Ozaukee County Sheriff, and they can be contacted as well. We actually have 1, 2, at least 2, maybe 3 sheriff's officers that live in the village of Belgium. So, you know, if anybody, maybe because you weren't at the last meeting, we also have a program called the Trail Ambassador Program. This may not mean a lot to you, but it kind of does to us. We sent, I think there's 6 or 8 of us through our club into this Trail Ambassador Program. And it's kind of a way to police our own industry, our business. And what it does is we were trained, it was a weekend training, background check, certification. And if you come through town on your ATV and do something kind of fuzzy, I can't give you a ticket, but I can pull up to you, talk to you, try to explain to you what needs to be done and what's right and what's wrong. If it's a problem, and you just rather not talk to me and take off, we have a communication center that's located in Sheboygan. It's a comm center. It's open 24/7 every day of the year. We have our badges, and we can call that number on there. They'll have a warden down there as fast as he can get there, or they'll contact the sheriff. So we have some tools, so to speak, in our toolbox to kind of help police our own activities here. Like I said in the beginning, man, this isn't easy. You know, I'd rather be sitting at home, but coming to these board meetings and trying to get people to understand what our group is all about is kind of a passion, and we want to do this, and we want to do it right. I don't want some kid burning up and down the street, creating a problem and making a bad name for our industry. So we're going to turn them in.
So you're telling me that the sheriff can act for the DNR?
No, they act for themselves.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No, your ATV doesn't fall under jurisdiction of the county sheriff.
They do. I mean,
Do they or don't they?
they do.
Do they?
Yeah, like, if you.
They're on a village street under the jurisdiction of the Zaki County Sheriff's Department, they can take action.
Yes.
So why do you need the DNR guy for?
Well, it's another resource.
They control.
No?
Yeah, there you go.
It's just like having a local constable. Why do you want
Can I just add on to the ambassador program that the club is very involved with? We actually have a contract with the DNR law enforcement to manage this program because there aren't enough eyes and ears out in the woods or anywhere else. That's why we do our training. Actually, next week, I'm going to be training some wardens on what it is that we do. We patrol together in different places. It adds to the visual, and we learn to be good witnesses, like Kevin said, and we built up that reputation. So again, the peace of mind, it's a tool, just like the license plate. We were the ones that asked to pass that. We were the ones that brought this forward. We know that we need to manage it the right way, and this program is another one of those mechanisms to give you some confidence that there's people out here watching their, you know, what's going on. So I congratulate the club for being part of our program and adding some more. So thank you.
I've got a scenario though. I'm traveling up on LL towards Cedar Grove. Speed limit goes from 35 to 55. You're not able to go more than 35, am I correct? Or you can if you feel like it.
Okay, so.
Then I gotta pass you and put my life in jeopardy to get around you on a two-lane road?
Sir, you really don't understand the rules here. This is,
Oh, yeah, I guess not.
no, so let me try to explain it the best I can. So, in the village limits, if there's a county road or a state road that is at 35 miles an hour or less, then we can drive on those roads within the village limits. Now, the town of Belgium, the township has also adopted this ordinance. In the township, if a county road, and county roads are lettered like County Trunk A or D running through Main Street. Well, people get that confused, and I want to make sure that we understand. County roads are lettered roads, numbered roads are state roads. If those roads are at 35 miles an hour or less, in the municipality that has approved our ordinance, we can drive on those roads. So in this case, if you're heading to Cedar Grove and you're worried about us coming in front of you, we can get on LL and we can drive up to the 35 mile an hour speed limit sign, and where it goes above that, we have to stop. We cannot go on County Trunk LL because it's a county road and it's above the 35 mile an hour.
Okay, fine.
Now, in the village of Belgium, this makes it real easy, because what are we at? What is our highest speed limit? 25, right? Okay, so it's 25 across the board. Nowhere in the village of Belgium will we be going over 25. If you go over 25, it's the same as the guy on the motorcycle or the car. You're gonna get pulled over, or you should get pulled over. In the township, we follow posted speeds. So if you come down in the town of Belgium on Lake Church Road, which is a town road, it's a worded road, that's 55. I'm supposed to be driving the speed limit, so I can go 55. Does that make sense?
And your ATV.
On my ATV, yeah. Well,
It's no different
let me
than
tell
ours.
you, what you don't want, and this has been problems throughout the state too, is an ATV on a curvy old road, and up north, even the county roads, a lot of them are accepted, where it's posted 55, and you're driving 35 through a hilly and beautiful countryside. You don't want to back up all the cars behind you because you don't want to go up to the speed limit. These machines, what you really need to do is hop in one of these and drive it, because this drives just like a car. My UTV is just like a car. I think it maybe goes 55, I don't know, somewhere in that area. But regardless, I can keep the speed limit and drive just as safe as you can in your car, and I'll challenge you to that.
Yeah, but you don't have airbags. Come on.
Don't
All right,
worry about my health.
I mean, you may want to be thrown out of the, I understand.
Classic cars driving around.
I
There's
think
classic cars
you're
that's
looking
going
for a
on
reason to
all the time.
argue, and I don't think that's why we're here.
Well, I have another question slash statement. Now, I think I said this to you at one of the other meetings. I have no doubt that your club, that you're all good citizens, that your club is everything that you represent it to be, which is, you know, wanting to make the recreational sport, give it a good name. But my concern is with the people who aren't members of your club, that there's going to be some, you know, wild west types that are going to not be part of the club, that are going to take advantage of situations, and be it, you know, adolescent hormones, whatever. I would feel better if I knew that your club, your ambassadors, whomever, would, at least for the first 6 months to a year, that this is, if this does come to pass, I would feel a lot better if you had an increased presence and was watching out, because as I've said all along, my chief concern is not with your club members, it's with the other people that are going to be covered under the ordinance.
Fully understood. At the end of the day, it's really an enforcement problem or an enforcement issue, let's put it that way, because if somebody's doing something outside the law, they need to be taken care of. being a trail, that's the reason why our club got involved with this Trail Ambassador program. It's really a neat program. And it's sold as the way to help self-patrol our own.
And that's why I bring it up, because I think everyone in the village can attest that we're undermanned in terms of enforcement. Anybody that drives down LL, which is 55, and then suddenly becomes 35, and I've seen people speed up going through the 35 zone. So, enforcement is an issue, and that's,
I'm more than willing to put some high def cameras up at every corner of the restaurant to catch whoever
That-
might be breaking any kind of laws that we have.
that would be excellent. Thank you. That would be excellent.
Okay. Oh, you guys. Yes, go ahead.
I live in Holy Cross, 28 years. I see bicycles. And I'll tell you what, I took a survey, out of 100 bikes, 2 stopped at the stop sign. They go right through. I watched them in Fredonia, stop and go lights, to go through the stop and go lights.
No, I agree with you. Don't get me started on bicyclists, so, no, I
I'll
agree
tell
with
you
you.
one thing, we're responsible people. We're all over 21 years old. And I don't think we're gonna go through stop signs. I think we're too old for that. Maybe young kids, well, that's their problem. They're gonna learn the hard way. But they gotta learn. But just don't put the club down.
I think the main thing too, like you're saying, if we see somebody doing something wrong, we're gonna say something and correct it.
Well,
I live on Grand Ave in Belgium, new part of Belgium, and I have a stop sign, live right on the corner. And over the years I lived there, I've been that guy grabbing someone by the throat, telling them not to speed down my road because I have little kids, and to stop at this stop sign is not a
And that's
suggestion.
exactly what I'm concerned
And I'm
about.
the type
is
of person that
enforcement.
ain't afraid of going out of the way and setting things right,
Good. Good, well, no, I mean, this helps to hear this, because,
And there's been, we've ran into small communities, you know each other. That's the beauty, and generally it's somebody's kid. And so oftentimes our ambassadors will call our warden or our sheriff and say, here's what we've seen. Usually they'll say, you guys go over and talk to them first, see if it's workable. If it's not, you call us back, we'll go educate them a different way. We call it a certificate of completion, you write the ticket. But the smaller the community, the easier that works. Everybody knows everybody. And that's the idea. If you guys get a complaint, you call the club, the ambassadors. That's what we're trained to do. It works. So.
okay,
Tom?
Yeah, I just got one comment. I'm Tom Beerbaum, I'm the president of the club right now. We did pass it in the town of Fredonia, and I live in the town of Fredonia, and I live on a fairly busy intersection, and we do see some go by, but to say that you're gonna see swarms of machines coming through town or through any kind of country road is kind of a far-fetched idea. On a weekend, we might see 3, 4, 5 machines go by. It's usually older fellows going either to the Rod and Gun Club, going down to the cheese store, or heading into town. So to say that we're gonna get bombarded with a big crowd, I don't see it. It's more or less for the locals.
thank you.
Yeah, the only thing, I'm sorry, but the only thing that, anytime that there's a bigger group than that is when it's organized ride, where we're either doing something for a charity, or we're in a parade, or that type of thing. And otherwise, most of the time, you've got 2 or 3 people that are riding together for a day. They're heading out for supper, or they're going for breakfast, or.
Actually, you raise another interesting point. I know that a lot of the motorcycle clubs do charity runs. What is your history with that kind of?
We got a good one. We're Randy, you can tell me this, but this is the second year we've been part of it, but really this is the first year that we helped host the Make-A-Wish Ride. And this was over in West Bend at the fairgrounds, in Washington County. And it's heartwarming. You really need to come because it's a full day of events. We start at 9, we go on a ride. They went from the Washington County Fairgrounds. One group went up to Fond du Lac and ate at a restaurant on the lake. The other one went to Fudgy Knuckles in Glenbeulah. And then they come back in the afternoon, we have pledges and fundraising. We have lots of prizes and stuff like that, and then there's a banquet dinner. And we raised, how much?
21,000.
It was 21,800 and some change in one day. 2 years ago, when we did this and participated in the one in Antigo, I believe that was 27,000. So we got a pretty good track record when it comes to something like that. And what's heartwarming about it is when you go to that banquet, 1 or 2 of the families are there with their children that are gonna be receiving this wish. And it's tough even for a tough guy not to shed a tear. It's pretty neat.
But with those organized rides, law enforcement are informed as you go at the time they're going through approximately, and Randy and the trail ambassadors are all on GPSs. We know where everybody's at. They're organized. Yeah.
Now, there's been smaller rides too and fundraisers and we're all about that. We live in a community, so we want to be part of the community. Every one of our people in our group, I shouldn't say everyone, but the majority of us attend our parades. We go to our festivals and help out and do that type of stuff. So we're part of the community. We're here to stay.
And I do appreciate your addressing these concerns that I have, so I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Another thing we did also with the town of Fredonia, they're keeper of the refuse center or the recycling center, fell over on a ladder or something and hurt his hip, and we took care of the, for the garbage that day. We went in and we took care of the recycling center.
2 weekends, right?
2 weekends.
Just to get them through a tough spot.
Yes.
My husband will frequently go up and down Lake Church Road in the spring and uses ours to pick up garbage. He's taken 3 truckloads, pickup truckloads, full of garbage off of Lake Church Road. Because he just slowly goes down with the UTV, and I'm sorry.
I want to see who's talking, but I can't.
He'll slowly go down the road.
Stand up.
It's easy to jump in and out of the UTV, and he'll go down the road with garbage bags, and he picks all the garbage up in the spring, up and down Lake Church Road. Brings it home, takes it to the dump.
Well, if you guys don't mind, as a resident, I would just like to add something for the board to consider. I have no dog in this fight. I don't have a UTV or ATV. I've never been on one.
Give me a call. Take it
I need to. But I hear a lot of concern. I know you guys, your job is to think about what, all the possible outcomes of this. But I'm hearing a lot of questions about what if people break the law. And it seems to me that those concerns are saying, I'm going to prevent law-abiding people doing something they want to do because somebody might break the law.
Thank you.
And that seems like an unfair assessment. So just a thought.
Unfortunately, that's unfortunately, we break the law now without an ordinance.
Well, that too.
That's a really valid point, because I live in Lake Church, just outside of Lake Church, and I work in the other side of Belgium, and I see people on mini bikes that are not road legal, UTVs, everything. I travel this route down D, Main Street, twice a day, and I have seen countless vehicles that are not registered to be on the road. So I want to be really careful about that, so that if the village decides to do this, and somebody now, because it's fresh in everybody's mind, sees that and they're like, hey, wait a minute, they're doing this already and that's not legal. I see this almost on a daily basis going through town, right now, and have for the last 3 years that I worked in town. So I just want that to be brought to everyone's attention as well.
And if this gets passed, I'll get more of us that are doing the right thing to say something to them people that aren't doing the right thing.
We'll be able to help patrol it.
Because we don't want to ruin it for ourselves.
Question, another one. This requires a lot of route signage and whatnot. Who pays for that?
I think the club is doing
Club's gonna pay for that?
We'll pay for the
And
sign.
you're gonna supervise how they're put up and where they're put up? And
Put up
We
first
follow
requirements.
state statute.
There's state statutes, we apply for the permits, we buy the signs, and we put them up based on the requirements.
And we do work though with the village to make
Yes.
sure they're in the correct locations and everything.
Call Diggers Hotline and all of that. Yep.
see, my only concern, like I said, has been from the safety And I've just seen there's too many targets out there right now in the village. You got huge semis going down Main Street. I mean, if it can happen, it will happen, you know, from the cannery down there. There's a lot of reasons for that too. So, I mean, my concern is safety. That's it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Ours is the same.
You know, and I'm sure yours is too, because you hit a car, you're gonna lose. You know that.
But I will say I'll never ride a motorcycle again now that
Neither
I'm
will
on
I.
it. I mean, no offense to motorcycles, I had one, I loved it, but it's too tippy, four-wheelers are stable.
I don't know a person who owns one that hasn't fallen off it.
Yeah, so I haven't fallen off an ATV yet.
I just want to say, I'm a village resident. I don't have a UTV. It's really not in my budget right now. But being a lifelong resident of the village, like Sarah said, this is a great steakhouse. It's closed. We lost a couple restaurants. We lost a grocery store. I just see this as a way of people, maybe on a Saturday night or a weeknight, whatever, jumping on UTV, maybe with a neighbor or friend, and going to Luxembourg Cafe or going to Coyotes or Luna's or something like that, rather than getting in their car and driving down to Grafton or Sheboygan to the restaurant. Let's help our local businesses. A couple weeks ago, Kevin and Brenda are friends of mine. We went up to New Holstein. Going to New Holstein, they have a big sign, ATVs allowed. So it's happening in communities, and I think we saw one at a supper club that night. So it's happening in communities. Why not bring it here? I mean, let them prove you're. But to me, if you're gonna vote no on it, you're saying that they're already guilty of something that they've done. Let them make a mistake and then get rid of it. But right now, they're not doing anything wrong. So why not allow it? We allow mopeds, we allow bicycles, kids walking on the road. Why not allow that?
One more thing.
Yes.
Although this gentleman's safety concerns are authentic, we're not gonna learn anything without trial and error.
And as we said earlier, the village can revoke this at any time. If there's too many people misusing it, the village board can take this away. I mean, we don't have to wait till the end of the year. We can do it within a couple weeks.
Perfect.
So we do have control over that.
So you're saying that, okay, if it's business for a year, if it doesn't work out, you can revoke it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
We can revoke it in 2 months. If we get it started in a month, we can revoke it the following month. We can revoke it anytime we want.
I think that's reasonable.
There's no contract with this. We can revoke it if someone's goofing up, we can revoke it.
The only thing our club would ask is that, touch base with us if there's something we can do to help. We want to fix it too. Maybe it's a small concentrated problem or something. We'll work with you. That's what we're here.
I just want to say, Adam, so up until about 2 months ago, I was very opposed to it. And after talking to Kevin one night for, I don't know, was that like 2 hours, literally? I went home and I pulled in the garage and I have a moped sitting there. I'm like, well, how safe is that? And I ride that around the village all the time. And in the house was my daughter who's 14. And what stops her from jumping on it and taking it out? Nothing. Besides me telling her. So that really helped me kind of change my vision of this. Like, everybody, there's always going to be somebody breaking the rules, if it's speeding, drunk drive, whatever. But I think, like Vicki said, we're jumping to the fact that they're already breaking rules. We haven't even given them a chance to break. It's like they're guilty before they even get a chance. So, as they know, I have wholeheartedly changed my thoughts on it. And, so I just wanted to say, I was very against it up until a few months ago, and then I realized, yeah, I have a moped. I ride it to Grafton. I don't think anything will go around LL on it. Take it to Fredonia. What am I lucky for?
Being alive.
Why?
On a moped?
Yeah.
Go down.
It's her
where you
choice.
take
It's
LL
my
down?
choice. You
I know
drive
it's
a
your
car.
choice.
You're lucky to be alive. You drive a car. Yeah. You get down. You're lucky to be alive.
She knows a
She's
good
got
EMT.
9,000 miles
Right.
on hers.
I mean,
McDonald's have to do with.
that food could kill you too. You could. Someone's gonna
Wow,
get you.
food could kill you.
Mine can't.
Sir, are you just stretching or do you have a comment?
I would also like to reiterate that I'm a lifelong member of the community business owner community, 30-year member of the volunteer fire department. And one thing that disgusted me is when somebody said, well, competition. There's something different over here on this side. We have pride in our community, and I think you're gonna see these people act with pride. We've invested in this community, and when businesses close, that sucks. It's not just competition. I wanna do what we can do to help. The Belgium house was closed for 2 years. Opals was closed for over a year. If this is that boost, that's what we're looking for. Let's help.
Right. It's all about support.
Are there any other questions?
I love we live in a town of Belgium, I'm sorry, but I like being out in the country. I'd love to get on my ATV and come in for supper.
I'd love that too.
As long as it ain't McDonald's.
Same thing here. I live, again, in Lake Church. I'd love to ride in to stop at the Luxembourg Cafe. My kids, both of my daughters live on the west side of town. I'd love to be able to throw my dog in the back, my husband and I drive through town to go visit the kids. Stop and grab something to eat on the way home. I mean, we're all responsible for our own personal safety. We're all adults, and we're responsible for our own personal safety. No one wants to hurt anybody else. No reasonable person in this room wants to hurt anybody else. We stand the chance of hurting somebody else just as much driving a car down the road as we do an ATV down the road. Same thing. Same exact thing. You still have the responsibility of controlling that machine and knowing what you can and cannot do with it.
Yes, Dan.
Yeah, I'm a resident of the village too, also for 61 years. I'm currently the fire chief of the fire department in Belgium. That big Friday night, we had a hunting accident down on South Shore Road. All of the departments got a UTV trailer out. Well, I went to get the village's gator and I drove it down there and we helped that hunter get out of that position he was in. So the fire department is in favor of this ordinance or whatever you want to call it.
I'll vote for that, Dan. There is no way we were getting him out with
No.
it.
And
I was there.
I would say probably in the next couple of years, we'll have one in North Firehouse also. Thank you.
And someone called the sheriff's department on it, right?
Yeah.
So, see, we can help with some fundraising for that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Contact the HRA club, we'll start a fund.
Do we have any other questions? Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. We will vote on this next week, Monday night at the village board meeting. So stay tuned.
Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you all for coming.